Hey guys, nice to see you. We're gonna do a quick sound check before to make sure everything is going well. Because last time we had a men's group, it was powerful, but nice, I can hear it. Okay, so today is a powerful session, and because we as men, we are driven by different needs than girls. Okay, and we're gonna talk about reclaiming thriving life, okay, or gaining the thriving life. And it's different for guys, it's different for girls, okay. And did you know that actually from those couples who are breaking up, did you know that 70% of girls are breaking up because of the lack of emotional connection? And did you know that actually guys is 30% who break up relationships or initiate the divorce, and they do that because of lack of sexual needs, sexual desires, sexual satisfaction, dissatisfaction. Okay, so today's topic is reclaiming back thriving life and sexual life. Okay, and I have prepared something here. I'm going to share the screen now, and then we can go through it. And I actually now I'm getting better with this because last time when I was doing it, I had the problems with sharing the screen. But look at that. This is me. Just last week, just got married. I'm showing the finger and I'm showing the pictures, not to brag, but actually to say that this is the real deal. So I'm saying what I'm preaching, and I'm actually learning along the way and sharing this with you as I'm moving forward and progressing in life with relationships and responsibilities. So let's stop sharing. And so here, as you can see that, it's not just a theory, it's actually a real life. But there is some barriers in life that's stopping us from living that thriving life and from having that sexual needs met that we have as a man. And so, what are the barriers? There's six barriers that is there that I wanted to touch basics. And so, we want to ignite passion, purpose, and gain power. We all want more passion, we all want more purpose, and we all want more power. And hey, to everyone who just joined now, I see some more people has joined. Anyway, if you missed something, you can see in the recording. But here, what are the barriers? So, number one barrier is I am too busy. I'm too busy. And so it's in the modern days. What happens? The business kills our drive, our passion, and our power because we become slaves to all the activities that keeps us busy. Okay? So I have some notes here. So if you don't make time for what matters to you, guess what happens? Then you're forced to make time what hurts. And that's the first barrier. But it's not just to discourage or just say the negativity, but actually identify what's the problem and then give the solution. So I have some solutions, and I have some truth bombs that I wanted to share with you, where you can actually maybe resonate and reflect yourself. So let's go with the first truth bomb. Okay, you're not busy, you're just unprioritized. Because it's an illusion. We all have 24 hours, and yet some people make most of it, and some people lose the time. Okay, so if we go back, so the number one barrier in life that stops us to live a thriving life, also sex life, is too busy. So think about us being too busy at work, coming back home. Maybe we are tired, maybe there's kids, maybe there's other responsibilities. Now, how we're going to show up in our lives at home is also how we're going to show up everywhere else. Well, maybe we're going to be frustrated, maybe we're going to be full of stress, and we're not going to be able to relax. So you're not busy, you are just unprioritized. And then when you set your priorities right, then all of a sudden you then start experiencing life differently, and you then start living the life on your terms. So what's the solution? So here the solution. So create secrete. So what that means is dedicated time, a holy time, a specific time that's for you, time for what fuels you. Okay, so that's a morning routine. Maybe if you're an evening person, it's an evening routine. It's just a guideline. So you create your own, and I hope this helps. So create date nights, and I definitely have to work on that myself. I'm now married, and I run a business, and I have a lot of responsibilities running this men's group and so on. So I'm super busy, and if I don't schedule anything, then what happens is it's not going to happen. And then create space to connect with your passions, and for some passion, maybe swimming, reading, or anything else, because the more you connect with your passions, the more that passion you can then bring into your work. You can bring that into your life and into your relationships, friendships, and also the same passion you can bring into your sexual relationships at home. So be the architect for your calendar, or you'll be the slave. Okay, so what's the barrier number two? The barrier number two is no plan and no passion. So we go to a place where we are just coasting. We'll get to it someday, but we don't know exactly where we're heading. Okay, so it's maybe yes, maybe no. We have a desires, but we don't have a set plan, and that is basically draining our energy because there is no certainty. Because certainty gives you the confidence, and uncertainty again gives you doubt, and then doubt is what drains us. Okay, so it's a killer of progress and intimacy. Because who of you have a friend who never can make a decision? Who of you have a friend who never can make a decision? Maybe you are the friend who cannot make the decision. Well, I had a friend of mine, still a friend of mine, but at that time they were together, and they were together for a long period with his girlfriend at that time, I think 10 years since childhood. And she was always looking up and waiting for him to step up and make a decision, but he would never make up a decision. And then he would always look up onto her. And we as a man, we need to make a decisions even if we don't know all the right answers, because a leadership is making a decision on based on the information that you have, rather than uh, what happened with COVID. No, COVID, what happened with Brexit? 2 years they're deciding whether they made the right decision or no. But the best way how to find out is make a decision, go with it, and then you're going to find out. And if you're unsure, then maybe the best decision is not to do it. Then maybe that's the decision. And in this relationship with this guy, and this girl, she eventually left him because she needed someone who could step up, and she needed someone who she can rely on, but he was actually the one who was relying on her instead. Okay, and that's the emotional desires, the emotional stability, and the emotional connection that the girls want from men. Is that, first of all, men brings security, and more than financial security is emotional security. Okay, so here, if you don't make time for what matters to you, you'll be forced to make time for what hurts. So what's the truth bomb? What's the truth bomb here? Okay, passion doesn't happen by accident. Likewise, these men's groups, these coaching sessions doesn't happen by accident, but it happens by intentional work. That's how we set ourselves on fire. Because whenever we start something, we start bad. Whenever we start, for example, cycling, riding a bicycle, we're bad at it, and we're falling down. But the more we do that, the more we improve, and the better we get, and the more passionate we are about doing it. But it all starts with somewhere. So that means there should be an intentional time set aside, and then there should be an intentional activity towards a goal, and that basically what creates the passion, because it never happens by accident. Usually by accident, we can just chill and relax, but we'll get to that point later, because that's also one of the distractions. And quite the opposite, the hardest thing is to make a decision, a commitment to do something. But likewise, when you go out from home, and when you step few steps, and that did few meters, or went in the gym, things change already. So the most difficult part is actually to start. But when you have the decision, when you have the clarity, when you have the plan, Okay, number one. Number two distraction was that we don't have the plan. When we have the plan, at least plan for now, because we can change it, but at least it's a plan for now. Then that actually helps us to ignite the passion, and then that passion is what we can bring at work. Because remember, you don't get burnout, you don't get anxious when you do what you want. And then, so for example, it's your day off, it's a Saturday, and then on Saturday my question is, what will you do? And someone will say, well, I'm going to play computer games. So some will going to say, well, I'm going to be running. Okay, so let's say you go playing tennis, but it's activity, you still have to do something, you see, and you're willing actually to even pay for tennis court and spend your time because it doesn't feel like work, because it's your passion. And when you're driven by your passions, then you're more alive, you're more interesting for people around, and the better the relationships, because you then bring back this passion in your work, you bring back this passion in a home, and then you see how things start to change. And one of the things that for guys happens is they neglect their own passions and they put someone else in front of them, and that means that they keep draining, because if we come from a place of lack, then the only thing what we can give is to get. We don't give because we have. So that means we need to fill up our own cup, and the same like in the airplanes, you need to put the mask on yourself so you can actually help other people. And I haven't this in the hard way. Like, I'm running a team, I'm running a company, and I have learned this in the hard way. And I have realized that more important than trying to meet everyone's needs is understanding what is needed for me and what I need, so I could then be able to help them. Because if I'm going to be running on empty, then I'm going to be actually finding out in a place where I need the help. And the best way how to help a homeless person is not to be one. Yeah. So what's the solution? So mobilize your willpower and set the goals. So create excitement with variety, because we may get stuck in routines, and maybe just that change, maybe just going out for a hike, or I don't know, whatever is your variety. Maybe you're hiking every day, living in a village. Maybe your variety is actually going into a city and spending some time there, and you're going to then create these new ideas, and you're going to see what's possible, because you need to create that, you need to change the environment, because when you change the environment, you change the feeling. Okay, because the environment will determine where you are, where you're heading, and how you feel. And that's why many people want to go traveling and so on. Subconsciously they just want to change how they feel, and they subconsciously, that if you change the environment, you change the feeling. So, and also that happens with setting a goals, because when you have clear goals in front of you, then what, then the situation is this: you're no longer drained, you're no longer burning out, but you're actually moving forward. And then schedule intimacy, like you do with success, because what we schedule is what becomes possible. I have a quote from Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and he talks about actually things that we don't, if we don't schedule what happens, and if we just go with the flow. But we need to schedule anything, because life is full of distractions, and especially now, in the age of social media and everything that's going around, and all the notifications. So it's not the social media, it's just the notifications, the phone ringing, the messages coming in. So we always get distracted by other things and not actually living the life that we design. And then we are then left with whatever power and whatever energy we have, because remember, like, we are doing this to regain back the thriving life, and to regain the passion, and to get the power. Yeah. So if you don't plan your desires, the world will plan your distractions. No, exactly. That's what we were just talking about. So the barrier number three. So if you can't relax, if you can't relax, or if you don't know how, and some people just don't know, and they may be too stressed, too tired, too distracted, and then what happens is they go into alcohol, drugs, sleeping around, and just trying ways how to relax. But Well, if you have tried that for long enough, you know that it's not actually relaxing, it's just prolonging. So it's prolonging whatever wherever you are, and the side effect is you lose time. So the more you lose time, the more frustration builds up, the more stress, the more anxiety builds up. And actually learning how to relax, that is a skill. There's skill that we all need to learn. And for some people that's going to yoga. In my case, it's not yoga. For me, that was running. I was doing quite a lot of running. Now it's swimming, because swimming requires breathing, and the same like all the meditations noise, it requires breathing and relaxing under the water. Because if you want to swim long distances, you have to be able to relax. And if you are not relaxed, then probably if you have jumped in the water, tried swimming like 50 meters, you're out of breath. But if you learn the techniques and if you're relaxed, it's just the same like walking, because you can walk for kilometers and kilometers. And it's just finding a way that where you can relax. And for some it's being quiet, for some that's being in present, for them for someone it's in prayer, for someone it's going to the church, whatever it is for you. But the ability for you to relax is actually what will determine how much you're gonna bring comfort, how much you radiate, how much you're going to transfer confidence. Because if you're stressed out, what happens is when you go into the room, let's say in your office, you come into your office, everyone gets stressed out because you're stressed out. Like, have you ever had anyone around you, just around you in the environment, when they come in the room, that now everyone is going to be stressed out because that person is stressed out. You see, people think that they hide very well what they're going through and what's happening within them, but they are actually leaking, and people see that. Yeah. So they not only see that, they feel it. And then when you feel it, you kind of feel uncomfortable, or you maybe try to escape and avoid those people. And then that, of course, reflects in relationships. Because if people try to avoid us, then guess what kind of relationships we have. Maybe just out of like politeness, they're just going to be around us. But if it's a free time and give them choice, they're not going to want to be around us. And then if we then find ourselves lonely and don't have friends, maybe that's one of the reasons, because we cannot relax and we cannot be present. And I am guilty of that as well, like always running, always in the move, always things to do. And this is something that also I myself have to learn. I have to work through it. And and I'm not coming from a place where I have figured everything out. I'm coming from a place of, look, let me stretch a little bit your thinking, give you a new insight, and then maybe you're going to come out with the right answer, because the answers are already within you, and you know which are the areas that you need to work on. And for me, definitely this is the number one area, because for me it's easy to move and it's easy to do a lot. That's why people say I'm the action man. But for me, again, the difficult part is to relax, is just to take it easy, just to slow down, because it comes a second nature. And where does it come from? It comes maybe from my past. Maybe it's some need that I needed to meet. I met by being active, being in the move. Maybe this way, avoiding facing whatever I needed to face. Maybe there was something negative that I needed to go through, and then I found this was working for me. So whatever you needed to become as a kid, to overcome your situation, your circumstances, you have became. But now, what got you to this place, you're not going to get where you want, into that thriving life. And especially in my case, like I shared, I just got married. And in my case, connecting deeper with my wife, I need to be able to relax, to be present, because that is where most of the men fail, because they are not present and they do not create that connection, the bond with their wives. And understanding that each time she tries to say something or text something, or she tries to give me a nudge or whatever, that's actually her trying to connect with me. And I've been guilty, like when I'm working, I'm very focused, but guilty of kind of not responding to it. And then you keep doing that, and over years and years and years, it accumulates, and then it ends. It ends. Okay, and that's the same for guys. If there's lack of sex, a little bit, maybe she's not showing interest. Maybe you're kind of being left alone. She's with the kids. Maybe she's always the head is hurting. Whatever. Now you start looking around, and when I was living single life and doing all the crazy stuff, which I actually learned that there is no value in it. I tried that because of the same feeling, because I thought, there is something better on the other side. But actually, the true breakthroughs are what we do here is we work on ourselves and we look into ourselves. So that's why. So it's less of me telling you what to do, but actually me challenging you, and then you finding the answers, and you actually getting better yourself, because the areas that you need to improve, and what you need to do. And my goal here is to challenge and to encourage you actually to take the next step. Okay, so what's the truth bomb? So if you can't relax or you just don't know how, okay, a tense man can't receive pleasure. Well, I'm talking in general. If you're tense and someone is laughing, you're going to be like, why he's acting like this? So you cannot have a joke. Okay, so if you're too serious, then like people are not going to want to be around you. Next thing, okay, if you're always tense, that means maybe you're under a lot of stress. Then what happens? You then give the attention to people around you. Okay, and the same way, if you're tense, I'm not just talking like pleasure, just like feeling good, but I'm talking about pleasure, also sexual pleasure at home with your loved one, because you're always tense, always frustrated, and always angry. And guess what happens? It doesn't help. Okay, so the ability for us to relax is actually what then creates the confidence, because when we are stressed out, that is visible and people can feel that. But when we are relaxed, people also feel that. And even if it's in a stressful situation, because I do believe that we as the men are called to be leaders. And when you're looking up to a leader, when they're a stressful situation, you're going to look up to them, and you're going to see how they're going to react. And based on that, how they're going to react, then you're going to say, oh, should I be worried or no? And if they are not worried and they are actually facing it and going through it, then maybe there is fear. Maybe there is, I'm not minimizing whatever the situations you're going through, but I'm actually saying that you know knowing the fact that whatever situation is happening, you'll be fine, you're going to be able to handle it, you're going to be able to go through. That's powerful, and that gives the peace. But that only happens when we are willing to voluntarily to go through it, because if we are always focused on the outcome rather than, okay, this is what's happening, I'm going to do the best I can, I'm just going to go through it, that gives peace and that gives power. But if you're focused on the outcome is not guaranteed, then we feel stressed out. So think about area in your life where you actually so much wanted some outcome, but maybe you didn't got it, and like how did you felt? Stressed, worried. Okay, and think about area in your life where you actually felt that you're just gonna let go, and that gives peace. And that gives peace, and that gives a certainty that like, okay, well, I'm going to do my best. And when you go and carry that around you, then this is what then other people will see and notice. And that means that people then after will just going to be drawn closer to you, because when a man knows who he's, what he's about, and where he's heading to, it doesn't mean that he has figured everything all out, but at least he has the confidence and he has the peace in his heart. Then people are drawn and attracted to it. So, what's the solution? So, train your nervous system. And so, here are a few tips. So, why reading is important? So, well, you can read and you can listen to audiobooks, because usually it's the stories that we tell ourselves that what's stopping us. And those are the limiting beliefs. But we don't come with those beliefs. When you see young kids, when they're grown up, they believe in anything that you say to them, whether you tell them stories about the dragons and princesses, and they're going to believe in it. So they learn through disappointment, and then that actually reflects in how they live their life. But we have to unlearn whatever we learned before or wasn't working, and maybe have a new story and understand that whatever we're going through, it was actually a learning curve, the same like driving a bicycle. If we just fail once and then we say, oh, I'm not a bicycle rider, but understanding that I just had to, few times I had to fall down a little bit till I learn. And maybe whatever the situation you went through, when you're going to read the book, you're going to find you're not the only one, and there's people who has went through the situations already just like you. So, and then learning, it is very important, because if we if we don't learn, then we are actually going back. So if we don't grow, then we are sliding back, and it's so important. Because myself, I started therefore to do these coaching sessions myself when I went through really tough time and struggling in relationships, finances, and health. So everything was crashing down. I realized that it wasn't that I didn't want it to do better in life. I just didn't know how. And maybe it's not you. Maybe it's not that you're not good enough. Maybe it's not that problem in you. Maybe it's just a lack of knowledge. And if you would know how to do it better, you would actually do it. Like, who doesn't want more passion, more drive? Who doesn't want more sex? Who doesn't want better relationships? Who doesn't want more money? And if we can acknowledge that there's an area where I don't understand or I don't know something, then we can learn. And when we can learn, we can start implementing. And when we can start implementing it, we can change. Okay. So, and then go therapy. If there is something that where you're stuck, go therapy. And I actually said here, even sex therapy. Why? Why? Why that is important? Because if there is no sex in relationships, if it's a family, and I'm not talking about friendship. So if it's a friendship, it's fine. And I'm not encouraging everyone going to sleep like we just did it after the marriage, and we decided and we agreed, both of them, because we share the same values, and we both came from a place, so there is no disappointment, there is no frustration from each other's side, but we know what we do. But I'm saying, if there is no sex in relationships, intimate relationships, that means something is wrong. Because if I am upset on my wife, then how can we sleep together? Like, I just don't want. Or other way around, if she's upset to me, then how we can sleep together? Okay, so then there's no sex. Okay, she's gonna come up with an excuses, headaches, and so on. Okay, so us not having sex already indicates that there is some tension between us. Okay, for example, next. For example, she's overweight and I don't see her attractive and we don't have sex. Okay, so the indicator that we don't have sex already means that there is some tension and there is some place of improvement. That means she needs to, look after herself, or maybe I need to help her, or maybe we both need to look after ourselves. And it's not one person needs to do something and the other person no, because remember, it's a team already. Relationships is a team. Or it may be some kind of a tensions, financial tensions, that is actually a burden where you constantly have those arguments. And you see, for example, I give you a story. A couple, a girl and so wife and a husband, and they've been living for 4 years together. And the last year, you know they had like quite a lot of arguments, and of course there was no sex. And because if they would already understand that, okay, there is something happening and there is no sex, and if there is no sex, that means that we need to go and fix something, then maybe later on, 1 year that has passed, it wouldn't come down to a point of them breaking up, but they would actually say, okay, let's talk. What's happening? Like, what's happening with you? And what's happening with me? What are you unsatisfied? And then maybe things comes up like, oh, you never spend time with me. Maybe things comes up like, I had expectations, you didn't meet them, I'm disappointed. and from both sides, maybe from my side, maybe from her side, but I'm actually saying that this is an indicator before the crash has happened. And the same, like, how can you know when the relationships was written off? Okay, so I looked in my past relationships with my ex, and you could see, like, on my Instagram page, when she was like liking every single post and picture, and then you see one moment she just stopped liking. At that moment, she was like, I don't care. Okay, and that's the same. So if you notice that, instead of just having the likes as the comparison, but having sex, if the sex disappears in the relationship, okay, it's like the point of, like, I don't care. And before it gets to a breakup, you have this period to sort it and to save it. So I'm not taking it lightly, and that's why I say, because also to have a thriving life, we also have to have a healthy sex life. For those of you who are in relationships, and don't ignore the signals. If there is no sex in relationships, something is wrong, and you need to go to therapy, you need to go to a doctor, you need to work on that, because that is an indicator, that is a red light, as in a car. You're running on red, soon something will gonna crash, but just the question how long it's gonna take. Okay, so you can perform in a boardroom or a bedroom if you can be present in your own body, because that also will gonna either build your confidence or take down your confidence. Because when you can be present in your body and actually you know what you need, and you actually understand what's happening and why you're feeling frustrated, why you're feeling angry, you'll be able to express this to other people. But then they will not going to see you acting weirdly, but then they will going to be healthy communication. And the biggest disaster and the biggest breakup, the biggest reason why all relationships breaks up is lack of communication. So why I bring up this here, because the quality of our relationships is the quality of our life. So I'll repeat that once again. The quality of our relationships is the quality of our life. Okay. So the barrier number 4 is emotional blockages. Okay. Unresolved pain, trauma, conflicts, and some kind of bad experiences. Yeah. And they poison the intimacy, and that doesn't allow us to connect with people, and it doesn't allow us to connect not only with, like, sexual relationships, but it doesn't allow us to connect with friends, because they look at us, they think we are fake. Okay, so here's a truth bomb. Okay, you can't connect with people, clients, or your partner if you're still fighting ghosts from your past, because you'll be reacting rather than responding. And instead of asking help where help is needed, you'll be pretending that you're okay, but people see that you're not okay. And in my case, I remember that I was triggered by a lot of things out of lack, but the more I realize who I am, what I'm about, and why I feel this way, the less I needed actually to respond to them. So, what's the solution? So, like, to learn to communicate like a man. So, what does that mean? It's actually just speaking up and not being afraid of girls' emotions, because that's a big one. Because a lot of girls is using that as an escape, because if you say something that I don't like, they're not going to be upset. But that's ridiculous for a man to expect that highly emotional person will not going to get emotional. And then guess what happens? Then the emotions is ruling the environment, and the emotions is ruling the house or the business and so on. And you don't get anywhere, because all that we as men we learn is to avoid an escape. Okay, and by avoiding and escaping, we never address and we never face it and we never move forward, because we're always careful of where we are stepping. Okay, but understanding that emotions, good or bad, is emotions, and it's all good. Because the same like seasons, summer and winter, we don't have to worry about winter, that winter we're gonna come, but if the winter is there, we need to be prepared and know what to do with it. So in this case, You just need to know what to do when the girl becomes emotional. And that's one of the reasons why I started these men's groups, because when my previous relationship break up, I realized, oh, I didn't actually know how to deal with the emotions, with a woman's emotions, but I didn't know how to deal with my emotions because I haven't seen that in my own family, because I grew up without that. So I haven't seen that. I don't know how he deals with it, and then I haven't seen it, and I just go trial and error, and then what happens? You just keep crashing in relationships until you learn. But the best way how to do that is actually through honest and transparent communication. And the best way to do that is in a safe environment, which is not judgmental. That's why we do these men groups. So guys can open up and share whatever they're facing and whatever they're going through. So then you can learn from other people's experiences, because in ideal world, you would learn that in family. But how many families where people talk about problems or whatever they overcame, or they mask it and pretend that they have figured everything out? And that is the biggest killer of everything, and that's where everyone gets stuck, because no one actually says, look, I messed up here, this is the problem, don't go there. Usually people say, you do this, you do that, and they don't explain why. But if I were going to tell you my failures, my problems, then that are going to be more encouraging for other people to learn from them, rather than me telling them what to do. And that's the power of actually sharing our stories and our failures. And from that place, we become transparent, so we can actually do the internal work, and we can then heal the wounds. Well, of course, some people choose to go it alone, but if you want to go solo. But like, I learned that, like, we all were going to do better together. I joined a triathlon club when I decided to do the half Ironman. And guess what happened? I joined a triathlon club. Just because I was in a triathlon club, I improved by 30% my running, my cycling, and my swimming. That's the power. So when you do things collectively, like I say, you're going to improve by 30% or even 50%, rather than by ourselves, because we give ourselves discounts. Like, just be honest yourself. You know that you should be doing more, or you should be doing better, but you don't do. Why? Because you always give yourself discounts. But when there's other people around you, they can actually say, look, yo man, you Peter, what's going on? Like, why are you acting this way? Why are you doing this? And then that's why I have my coach, because I know that there is blind spots that I don't see, and I need someone who can highlight it, so I can learn from that and I can improve. Well, there's an alternative. Try to hide it and hope that it disappears. Well, I have never seen that to come to a reality. Hiding things and running away from them, I only have seen that it creates a time bomb. That's it. So that's not the solution. I don't. There is no solution. Running away is not the solution. The only thing that we learn when there's difficulties to run away, but we have to learn to manage it. So if you want a better relationship, better sex life, clean your emotional closet. And that will gonna help you to open up and be more present and create that intimacy that you so much want, and your wife or your girlfriend. I'm not sure. Like, I'm just talking from my own perspective. Okay, so what's the barrier number 5? Responsibilities without the structure. Kids, business, staff, expectations, it all piles up. And especially, like, I'm running a business. There's a lot of people around me. Everyone wants something. There's clients who want something, wife who wants something, and not yet kids, but 2 dogs. And there's a lot of things that needs to be done. And when I don't have clear structure, or when I don't have set time, what happens is it just eats up all my time and nothing gets done. So in this case here, that's why I have these Thursdays to set for myself, and everyone knows that on Thursdays I'm busy. I'm doing the men's groups on 8:30, and now it's 2 Thursdays we do the coaching calls. One Thursday I do this YouTube lives, and then one Thursday or maybe one day a week I actually want to do like real connections with guys who's man here in London, meet up, maybe go for a food, maybe go for a run, and just have that like community, not only digital but actually in real life. and I'm committed to that. I've been doing this already like 4 years now. So yeah, it's a while. And look, I'm adding this value and sharing it for free because like I know how important it is, and I actually do believe that when a man gets better, everyone wins. Because why all this feminism movement and everything is happening is because the girls are disappointed. And what are they disappointed on themselves? No, they are disappointed on guys. So that means, do we need weaker men, or do we need better men, or do we need them to step up? Of course, we need them to step up, and then there'll be less disappointment. But see, the thing is, if the guys cannot manage themselves, how can they manage someone else? Okay, so if we cannot take care of ourselves, how will we be able to take care of someone else? And whoever is looking up to us, they're looking up to us, and then they are getting disappointed, and therefore then all these movements and all this feminism and all the things is happening. But it just comes from us taking the responsibility and stepping up to the game. Yeah, so the truth bomb. Yeah, you don't lack time, you lack boundaries. That's it. And the boundaries maybe is like clearly like, I'm busy and I'm not going to be available. And then people don't get frustrated that you don't pick up the phone, or that you don't attend some events or anything. And there's no point. There's no point of that. And people are going to always test your boundaries. But when there's clear boundaries, then there is peace in your heart, and then everyone else knows what to expect from you. And I think that's sexy. So what's the solution? Structure. So structure your day, structure your plans, have a map, and delegate. So find people then who can actually help you, and maybe there's parts that you're responsible, and then there's parts where someone else is responsible for that. And build a tribe, especially if you have kids. Maybe have multiple babysitters, friends who can actually look after your kids. And if you have a team and you're running like crazy, then you need to find a manager, or maybe you need to find a support team. And maybe that's these men's groups, or for girls is women's groups, or for moms is moms groups. But just have that support system, have the tribe, have that system in place. And that requires a little bit of structuring and then delegating, of course. So structure actually is freedom, boundaries are sexy. And most of the people, they think that, oh, I actually don't want to leave everything from the calendar, I don't want to plan everything. But guess what happens if there is no structure? Then nothing gets done. It's quite the opposite. So actually structure is sexy, and structure is freedom. Because let's say, when you finish work, okay, there's clear cut, you finish at 5, there's freedom, I will finish at 5 and that's it. But if you don't know when you'll finish, and it's just extending, oh, 1 more hour, 1 more hour, 1 more hour. Like I remember when I was working in restaurants, it was like a Park Plaza hotel here in London, and there was night shifts. And if a guest comes in the lobby bar, you still need to stay until as long as they stay. And if they stay till 3, you stay till 3. If they stay till midnight, you stay till midnight. And then you never know when you'll finish. And I remember how frustrated I was. So the structure, the clarity, the boundaries gives actually freedom rather than takes it away. Although it may feel quite the opposite, but that's just how it works in real life. And then number 6, so the last one. So well, I've been guilty of that. Who's guilty of procrastination? Yeah, or excuses? But number one thing why people don't move forward in life is because they have excuses. Because excuses gives uh, meets a certain need. For example, for me to feel significant, I give an excuse why I'm not significant, and then I'm okay, then I'm at peace with that. Or maybe I have the need of, earning money, but then I give an excuse, and then I'm at peace with it. Because if I know that I should be earning more, but I'm not earning more, then I know, and I'm going to actually feel bad, and I don't want to feel bad. So I give the excuse. So the excuses we give only to avoid the negative emotion, but the negative emotion is the net required stress that pushes us forward. So procrastination, excuses, is probably the biggest for everyone. So you're not tired, you're just distracted. So when you take away the distractions, all of a sudden the excuses and the procrastination goes away. Because then you can be actually clear on what you want and where you are. But it requires the honesty that we talked about. It requires the honesty actually to acknowledge where you are, and not saying I'm okay if I'm not okay. You're not saying it's fine if it's not fine, but actually saying, yeah, life is hard. Like, I'm struggling financially. That's it. There is no, yes, but I'm doing something. Okay, no, no, no. You stop. Okay, and you stop with a negative. Okay, then from that place you can then ask different questions, because if you go like, for example, I'm struggling financially, but I'm actually trying hard and working overtime and so on. Okay, so you give all the excuses that then basically eliminates the need for you to change, and you just keep doing whatever you do. But if you say, I'm actually broke and financially I'm stuck, and that's it. And now you can go like, I don't understand something. Is there something that I don't understand? Like, why I'm in this situation? Like, I'm doing something wrong. Or we can then from this place, like, what are the better alternatives? Or how do other people manage it? Or we can say, I need help with this. And you're going to see help is there. You're going to see you can make the change, you can make the transformation. But it only comes from a place where we can sit in that negative emotion rather than straight away jump into excuses. Because when we jump into the excuses, then we just take away the power. Because remember, we need stress, because stress is the stimulus. So stress is not bad, stress is the stimulus. But if you don't experience the stress because we talk ourselves out of it, then we never have the stimulus, and then it's okay. And then we just then we just procrastinate, and then we just live average life. Yeah. So the truth bomb: Netflix, YouTube, Insta isn't is draining you. It's actually the true drainer. Okay, and it drains your drive. It's not. It doesn't give you the relax. And I understand if you are actually contributing and you are the creator. But if you're just consuming and consuming, then it just drains you. First of all, it takes away your time. Second of all, it takes away your attention. And the most important thing is what? Is the attention. Because do you know what the ATM stands for? ATM stands for attention, time, and money. Because if they have your attention, social media, for example, then they can show you whatever they want to show. Therefore, they have your time, and then they can sell whatever they need to sell. And that's how commercials works, and that's why they are valued so much, even if they don't sell any products, because you are the product and they sell your attention. Okay, so be careful. Like, relaxing is great, but just think about creating content rather than consuming content, because the tools by themselves is not bad, the same like knife. But the question is what you do. If you're like attacking people, then it's one thing, but if you're cutting salads and creating meals, then it's different thing. So the same, how you use these Netflix, YouTube, and Insta for inspiration, or you use them for creating content, like now I'm doing this live, it changes everything. It changes the outcome. Okay, so what's the solution? So shut it down by 9:30. Or maybe if you're the early morning person, maybe that's earlier for you, because you may go to bed at 9 o'clock. I go bed late. Okay, say yes to quickies. Okay, solution like quick sex. Okay, do quick things rather than over complicated and everything. Just understand that that's okay, that also sometimes it's just quickly done. Okay, and I actually like this about I remember I was going to church, and there was this pastor. He said, no, I had a couple, so they just got married, our friends, and they said that before they got married, they had a conversation with a pastor. So kind of, just sit down with them and ask whether you understand what you're going to. And one of the questions was about sex, and they're kind of like a little bit like strange, like, oh, pastor's talking about sex. And then he said, well, that's okay that you have the long sex where you enjoy each other, you spend time together, but then you have the quickies as well, because it's just a basic human need and it's needed. But then you need to agree on that when it will going to be what, and so everyone is on the same page. Because for those who are in a relationship, you understand you don't have always time for everything. But then at least if you can meet each other's needs this way and agree on those quickies, and not to replace them, that connection and bonding. That's why I said here, if disconnect after 9:30, and I'm guilty on that as well. But now that I got married, we had this discussion, and we said, look, we don't bring the phones in our bedroom, because then that is an obstacle for us to bond and to connect. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm just what I'm working on, especially as the marriage for me is something new, and ignoring tiredness, because you might try to always feel right, but never feel right, and ignore the tiredness and do what you need to do, and that is in relationship wise, that's business wise, and that's in anything else, and just take action. Because like rarely we feel ready, we rarely we feel super excited, and then everyone else around feel the same. But we just have to take the first step, and when we start moving, guess what, things start to change around us. Yeah. So don't wait to feel like it. Act like it's already yours, and this is your life, so stop waiting for it. Start living. So I wanted to give an exercise that is a self-reflection, because before we leave, I didn't want just to have this as like monologue, or just some person talking, but I wanted you actually to look into yourself and do a quick exercise. So imagine your life as a movie, so current reality. So your movie is your life, and if someone were going to make a movie of your life, okay, what would be the title of your movie? Maybe it's a movie of the tired guy, or the frustrated guy, or the guy who's, you know, again trying. Maybe he's the guy of overcomer. Maybe he's the guy of the adversary. Maybe he's the guy who has joy no matter what. Maybe he's the guy of I don't know. You fill the blanks. Okay. So what would be the title? So, and as simple as that, you just look at your life and say, how would you then describe it? And I would say, uh, I would say an action man, because I am the action man, because I take action, and sometimes it's a downside because I don't think that much and I just step into it, and then I learn whether it works or no. But it has worked in many ways, because some people get too much in the thinking and overthinking, and then they talk themselves out of it. And maybe that can be a title of like a thinking man, you know. And what would it be about? So, and I can say from my life is, I'm actually here to encourage and build man, and I want this movie to be about. But what is the reality? Is it me actually building, encouraging men? And I say yes, because I'm running these men's groups, and I would like to do more of it. But I have responsibilities, my business to run as well, and that's how I support myself. This is not how I earn money. This is my passion project. So yes, contributing to people. So that's just looking at my life personally, is this movie is about the person coming from a console block in Latvia and just trying to figure life out, and make something out of it, and along the way inspire and encourage other people. And this is how it is now. And how long would it be? How the duration of the movie? And I would say I wouldn't like it to be too long and exhausting. I would like to be straight on, so maybe an hour, hour and a half, if you look at the movie. But the movie should be filming at least the whole journey of my life. So 90 years, 100 years. And then the next exercise is, what would actually be your dream movie, your life? If your life would be a movie, what would be your movie? What would be the title? My title now, I just got made, and those of you who follow me on Instagram, I was actually doing a James Bond style. I jumped in the water, swam, and actually kidnapped the wife, jumped in the boat, run away, and the title is James Bond. I would say James Bond Mission Impossible. The title I would like to be a title of like something great. And Mission Impossible is like, it's great because it's something that not everyone can do to stand out. And then so what then it would going to be about? It would be actually about bringing value in people's lives, because there's nothing more fulfilling for me is when I actually can do this work that I do now, where I can actually can give and I can share and actually pour in my heart into you, and hopefully you then take something out of it, and then one day you say, oh man, thanks to you, my life changed. And of course it's not me doing the job, but I played my part, and it's more than just doing the property marketing that we do, or doing the servers where I can say, oh, we did one more property, we did one more property. It doesn't give me that satisfaction and fulfillment, but actually working with people is. And the duration would be like, I would like to document the whole journey, the whole life. So that means I need to be more active, more proactive in creating the content and taking the journey and ups and downs. And actually, the more I do that, the more I get feedback from people like on social media that, man, thanks for sharing your journey, and thanks for sharing also the downs, not only just the highlights. And I learned that along the way. Learn also to share the failures and be more authentic. So through that, I learn. So that's an exercise. So think about where you are right now, and now what actually you want. And so creator mode, turn it on. Okay, so you wanted a legendary life, be the creator. This is actually what I said. So just be the creator of your life, and that's why we had this exercise, so you can actually step into it and think about where you want to go and what actually you want to get from this life, rather than getting distracted and without the plan, because these are the barriers that is actually standing in front of us to achieve the extraordinary life in work, in friendships, and in our sex life, because that is how we're going to show up everywhere. Okay, so breathe passion in your goals, breathe excitement in your relationships, romance, sex, connections. It all starts with the imagination. It all starts with what you can imagine, and that's why attending seminars, reading the books, maybe audiobooks, it just opens up you to different possibilities. And like here we're doing this, you know my goal is to encourage and to stretch you to actually open up something in you that you can say, oh, actually I didn't thought about it. Okay, so you build it with time, with discipline, and with intention. You're not going to happen over time, but you can then be the creator. And so here's a quote I wanted to share. And so this is the earlier. So undisciplined people are poor people. People who buy liabilities, they're middle class. And people who buy investments become rich. That's Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad and Poor Dad book. So we need to be disciplined in our sex life, in our finances, in our work. Discipline is the key, because discipline is what gives freedom. And if you don't discipline, if you don't set the time for it, it will never gonna happen. The same like these calls that I do every once a month on Thursdays. If I would not schedule them, they were not gonna happen. But I put the presentation together just literally like today. I didn't had it before, but because I had the time set aside, and if I would not have the time to set aside, it would not never gonna happen. So ask yourself: are you investing in your joy, in your passions? Are you investing in your relationships? Are you investing in yourself? And today, this was the investment in yourself. And I just don't want to leave you like that. I just don't want to go like, okay, well, okay, fine, now I'm inspired and motivated, so what's next? But the final call, okay, so if you want to greater life, make it. If you want greater love, feed it. It's down to you. So guys, it's not just about sex. It's about energy, presence, power, and passion. And today, that's what we were talking about. And so here, stop living in reactions and start living in creation. So then you become the creator of your life. And then once you're going to be creating your life, you're going to see you no longer will be exhausted. You no longer will be burning out, but you're going to be full of passion and drive, because that's the same like you're going on your 3 days or after work, tiring work, you then go cycling, or you maybe go play tennis because that's what you want to do. So it doesn't mean that you were not tired. Maybe you want to play football. Yes, you are working all day and then you go running and play football. You see, because that sets you on fire. And think about that. If you're gonna set yourself on fire, and that will apply in your relationships and business, then how it would gonna go? No longer you would gonna have to tolerate it, but you'll be able to integrate it. So life is made out of three C's. Do you know which are the three C's? So choices, make a better choices, and you're gonna see different outcomes. Chances, so take the chances that are in front of you, and this is your chance. And then changes, along the way that you're going to be growing, you're going to be changing, and just be be open to it, be open to the change that is required. And maybe that's the healing journey that you need to do, and understand, okay, that got me to where I was, but for me to get to a next level, I actually have to do the change. Or maybe that's the forgiveness, and no longer holding on to those disappointments and grudges. And life changes, people changes. I changed. I remember how I was like going around and cheating and sleeping around and doing all these things. Now I'm completely different, man. Now even we decided to like get made, and without any kissing, without sleeping around before. And I say, look, that's what I stand for, and I don't encourage everyone to do what I do, but I'm actually saying that I tried all the other things and it was just depleting me, and I realized I needed to change. And when I started to change, I started to attract a different life, and I am where I am now just because I did the change. And I made the different choices and I took the chances. And so this may be your chance. So join a men's group if you want, if you feel like you want to be part of it, and not just like have this, live session, but actually want to be part of it, connect, spend time together. We can break down your situations and you can learn from each other. Then that is for you. So there you're going to learn strategies, just like now you're going to have access to the WhatsApp groups or pair chat, so that you can ask questions and you can actually get answers. And you're going to get the group access as long as you are there. And then we have two Zoom coaching sessions where we actually break down whatever situation. So sometimes it may be maybe situation you're facing, but maybe you can see what other people are facing or they're going through, and then from there you actually can learn from other people's mistakes, because I think that's the easiest way to move forward quicker. And live Q&A sessions and group discussions. So yeah, so meet new friends, level up, and get real results. So, and if you missed, also bonus, because I usually do the recordings for the coaching sessions, and those who are in the coaching, then I share them. There's a special WhatsApp group just only for them. So if you want to be part of it, you can scan the QR code or just copy the link. The link will also going to be in the description. And then hope to see you guys. If you're not in the men's group, next month we are doing again live session. If you are joining this men's group, just we're going to have a next coaching session next Thursday 8:30 UK time, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be happy to see you. I hope you got some value. I need to shoot off now, spend time with my wife. Have a lovely evening, guys, and hope to see you again. Cheers. Bye bye.